Hi, and welcome to another edition of TOCA Backstage. This is Chris Wolf, the Executive Director of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation, and I am thrilled to be joined by Christie Huff, the contemporary country artist who will be performing at the South Bay Festival of the Arts coming up on June 22nd from 11 to 5. And actually, she's not performing from 11 to 5 because that would be cruel and unusual punishment for her. But she is performing during the day, so make sure you come by and see her. Christie, thank you so much for taking the time to visit.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited for the festival in June. It's going to be so fun.
So my first burning question is the difference between contemporary country and just country.
I think now contemporary country is essentially country pop. It has elements of, kind of like, I feel like country nowadays, what keeps country pop so country is the storytelling aspect of the song. In pop music, it's kind of the same thing being repeated over and over again. And in country music, you still, especially with the production wise, you still have, the fun production of pop in it, but still having that storytelling country aspect to it.
I can believe that because you're right. Most pop songs, it's like she loves me, she hates me, she loves me, she hates me. But with country, it's kind of like you get to know why she hates you and loves you.
Exactly, and there's more of like a story, and it's like what I do appreciate about pop is that it has like normally words and a melody that can get stuck in your head. But that's what I love about country pop, because it kind of puts a little bit of everything into one song, So kind of that catchy melody. Not that country didn't have that before, but it was definitely more like, here's the story, So
my next burning question is, what's your response to people who say they hate country music?
Oh my gosh, it's frustrating because when I tell people that I'm like a country singer, I feel like people either love it or hate it, country music. But my like instinct is to be like, you don't know, like you need to listen to my music before you judge just based on country, because I think a lot of people, when they judge country music, they are thinking back to the old time country, which I get isn't for everybody.
Right.
But contemporary country, I think, it's more of like a song. I was talking to my roommate, who she's a dental hygienist, doesn't have anything to do with music, but she was listening to the pop radio, and she's like, why don't they use real instrumentation in their songs anymore? And that's true. Like, what I appreciate about country music is that it's a song. It's, you start with a verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, and you're using real instruments. And a lot of times in pop, they just use tracks and kind of create it with like all in their computer, which is an art in and of itself, but it's not timeless,
Right.
That's going to end eventually. That's, kind of popular music right now. I think it's like a stage right now that we're in, but it's going to keep on progressing into something else. So
what attracted you originally to country music?
Well, I'm from Arizona originally, which is, I don't know, it's not the South, but it kind of has, like that Western, cowboy culture to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up I grew up in the stage of like when Taylor Swift was first coming out, and she started in country, and Carrie Underwood. And those are the people that I looked up to, growing up. And I have always had, my voice just has always had a country tone to it. And I've always loved the storytelling aspect. I think I'm like a dreamer and like a hopeless romantic. And I love the songwriting aspect because I go and write down and create stories that are in my head. And country music, that's what it's always been. And that's when I grew up listening to music, it would always be a story being told. And that's what I really love about country music.
I have to say, I have a wide range of tastes. I mean, you look on my playlist, I have everything from Eminem to Broadway show tunes and classical, but I do have an appreciation for country music, and I will go see country artists. Actually, when I used to work in another theater, we would book country artists, and I have to say the one thing I like about country artists They truly are the nicest people in the world. We had Vince Gill, Clint Black. I mean, all these big headliners that you would think would walk in and be just like real, snobs.
Yeah. Not super diva,
No.
Really down to earth, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we actually had to ask Vince Gill to stop the show because he was going on to 3.5 hours and we had to go home. I mean, he was just truly the nicest. And their only big requirement was we had to make sure we had In-N-Out burgers for the bus when they left. That was it. But super nice people. So you referenced Taylor Swift growing up. Is that where your main influence is, or do you have other artists that really influenced your music?
Yeah. I also like Michelle Branch was somebody that I really looked up to. My mom would like play music from like Carole King and Taylor. So it was always kind of like that kind of folky type of vibe, I think. But Taylor Swift, I mean, it's funny because I feel like, me being, I'm 24, but sometimes when I say like, yeah, like I love Taylor Swift, all this, people are kind of like, oh, it's kind of funny. Like Taylor Swift has this kind of, I don't know, like feeling around her that people take her seriously and obviously love her music. But then as an artist to be like, she really motivated me, people are like, whoa, like, I don't know. It's kind of like a weird vibe that I get. But I mean, I'm not going to lie, like Taylor Swift is, I mean, I grew up, when like our song came out and Teardrops on My Guitar and, hearing her lyrics and kind of the way that she connected with girls my age when I was growing up, right. It was really cool because, when I would listen to like Michelle Branch or Jewel, I was always like, okay, well, they're older. I don't feel like I relate to them as much. But then seeing Taylor Swift, who like wasn't, too much older than I am, it was really cool to be like, oh, I could do this too, and especially with songwriting. Michelle Branch also influenced me. But I always grew up loving to sing. And then I had a voice teacher tell me, she's like, if you ever really want to make it in this industry, you have to write songs. And I kind of looked at, Michelle Branch and Taylor Swift and was like, that's true. That's what makes them their music, like their music, Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Taylor Swift and Carrie Underwood, I think were probably the two biggest, in Colby Kylie, like the biggest influences. As a young girl, I would sing their songs, and
it's funny that you mentioned Colby Kylie because I mean, she's definitely not on the country spectrum, is she?
No, she's like, how would you call? I mean, singer-songwriter, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I really liked, and I think I'm country, but then I also think that I'm definitely like singer-songwriter, which nowadays that's more country. Like people say that. 90s pop is today's country because it's like a real song. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And so starting out, which direction did you go? How did you find your niche? And I mean, I got to imagine being a young girl trying to get into this industry is not the easiest thing in the world. Do you have a support system? How are you navigating that?
Yeah. So I started writing songs like my senior year of high school, and my parents were like, oh, like, why don't you record some, here in Arizona? And, at the time I was like, cool, like this will be fun. And, being a singer and like a songwriter was always something I dreamed of doing. But in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I'm going to go to college and, become, something more normal, and kind of more stable, just, in the back of my mind. And then it wasn't until my senior year of high school when I started writing songs and then I recorded in Arizona. And then my sound engineer in Arizona was like, I really like your stuff. Like, we should go to the Kauai Songwriting Festival, and it would be a great place for you to meet other songwriters and producers. So it wasn't until my senior year of high school where I decided I was going to take, in my mind, I was like, I'm just going to take 1 year off of college and, kind of navigate and see if I want to pursue music. And I went to the Kauai Songwriting Festival, and that's where I met my producer from Nashville, who I ended up recording my first 2 albums with. So, I think meeting him and going to Nashville and recording there that also really influenced and kind of helped me get a jump start to my career. I went to Nashville, got to meet a lot of people, kind of see how the industry works. And then from there, I moved to LA. So yeah, I don't know, just through meeting people and kind of just like jumping and, you know, going for my dream 100%, I guess, kind of helped me get into it. But it's taken years to, you know, kind of get a hang of this industry. And I feel like within the last 2 years is when I really been able to kind of get a stable foundation of, you know, a plan and success. So.
And so I'm curious, from what was the decision between LA and coming to LA instead of like going to Nashville?
So at the time, Nashville's changed a lot. And I go to Nashville frequently. I'm actually going there next week. But at the time, like 5 years ago, I felt like I didn't stand out. I was just another blonde country singer. And when I would go to LA, I was the country singer and different. And people wanted to book me and people kind of saw me in a different light. Whereas in Nashville, I felt like I was just, you know, a dime a dozen in a city where everybody's trying to do the same thing, which LA, it's the same, but I felt like I had more of like an artist, like I was more unique. And so that's kind of, and at the time too, I was thinking I was wanting to go a little bit more pop than my first album. So I was like, well, maybe I'm going to go more pop and, you know, I'm going to go to LA and kind of see if I like that. And I moved to LA and I love it. But then I still knew as a country artist, you know, there's definitely a scene in LA, but as a country artist, you also need to have kind of a relevance and a presence in Nashville. So I try to go to Nashville several times a year to kind of keep my, you know, my name and my presence. And now it's really awesome because LA and Nashville is kind of a bridge where I work with people in LA and in Nashville, and whenever we're both in each other's towns, we get together and write and collaborate, and yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome. So what's sort of in your future? Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, well, so right now I am releasing like a new song every 2 or 3 months. And I mean, I love to, my first song that I released of 2019, Urban Love, it's gotten some really great traction from Spotify. And right now it's currently on like the top 5 country Spotify playlists. It's gotten a lot of streams. So I'm hoping that I've gotten a lot of attention from that. I'm hoping that that will kind of, you know, slingshot me into, and I've gotten some opportunities, more opportunities to hopefully go on tour with, as an opening act, you know, for a bigger country name in the future. So I have some things in the works, talking to some people that I'm hoping that, you know, that will happen. But just me, I'm planning on, because, you know, with opportunities, I'm always putting in the work to have other people notice me and, you know, get opportunities that way. But then I never stop working, and I'm planning shows and tours myself this summer as well. But my plan is to release, I just released a brand new song 2 weeks ago, and then I'm going to release a new song with a music video at the beginning of June. So yeah, just keep on releasing music, keep on playing, and, you know, keep this journey going.
So right now is Team Christie Huff. Is it all you? Do you have manager, agent?
So yeah, right now it's just me. I don't have a manager or an agent. I am with my songs and that I'm releasing. I'm hoping that will kind of, you know, get me an agent and things like that. So I'm in the works right now with talking to some people, but this industry is like, you get opportunities or you start talking to somebody and it's just a talk and it's not really, sometimes there's not an outcome from those conversations, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm excited that I'm having these conversations with people, and I'm hoping that I will get that outcome that I want in the future. So yeah.
Cool. And so one of the things that the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation does is we encourage and try to mentor young up and coming people. Like we have every year we do South Bay's Got Talent. We get talent from 8 to 80. And some of them we try to put in shows and try and give them, a jump start. But if you were to talk to a young singer-songwriter, what advice would you give them?
You gotta love it. And at the end of the day, we all have goals and we all have dreams and we all have expectations for where we want our career to go. And I'd say just be patient and, good things will come, and you just have to put in the work and put in the time and, just love it and keep on going and keep on working on your craft, because the longer you do it and the more you do shows and write songs, the better you'll get and the more opportunities you'll get. And it's such an amazing journey that I've been on these last 5 years, and looking back to where I am now to when I started, I would have never guessed the opportunities that I would have gotten, and you just have to be patient. And, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love it. And you have to love it and just keep on having fun with it, I would say.
And I got to tell you that's brilliant advice, because I was talking to a young artist once and I said, so what's your goal? What do you want to do? Why are you in this? And they go, I want to win a Grammy. I'm like, well, that's not a reason to do what you're going to do, because there's going to be a lot of issues and you never know if you're going to, get that. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's great to have, goals like that. But I think that at the end of the day, you have to do it if, when I put out music, I've kind of, like in the last couple of years, I've kind of come with the mindset that, you know what, I love the song that I did. And if nobody listens to it, I'll be happy, because I'm just proud and excited about the song. Yeah. Obviously you want people to listen to it, but that's kind of the mentality that I've kind of started to have recently, because I didn't always have my mind like that. But even with doing shows, I'm like, I want to put on a show like there's 1,000 people in the audience, but if there's 2 people in the audience, I want to make sure that I'm having a good time and they're having a good time as well. So
you see, country artists, they're the best. They know what's what. So I can't help but notice you have your guitar sitting next to you.
Yes.
Would you mind giving people a little preview of something that you've written?
Yes, of course. I'm gonna do a new song that I just wrote, and I don't know if I'm gonna record it, but this is my first song that I wrote of 2019, and awesome. Called Love Crumbs. Lead the way, and I will follow. If you wanna settle down, let's think about tomorrow. Lately I've been sensing some hesitation. Oh, you're pulling away. You're pulling away. 'Cause all that you give me, our love crumbs. I think that I'm getting everything, so I come undone. And the truth is, you might love me, but just not enough. You do what you do, and you do it so well. Got me hanging on to love. Crumbs. Got me hanging on to love. Baby, I would go the distance. I cross mountains and oceans just to mend our love. But I can't change a thing if your heart ain't in it. Tell me, what do you want? Fight for our love. 'Cause all that you give me on love. I think that I'm getting everything, so I come undone. And the truth is, you might love me, but just not enough. You do what you do, and you do it so well. Got me hanging on love. Crumbs. Got me hanging on to love. Baby, I deserve better. Someone who can give me what I want. Can you see I'm no quitter? But it's time to move on. Doesn't make me less strong. 'Cause I want you to give me on the ground. I think that I'm getting everything, so I come undone. And the truth is, you might love me, but just not enough. You do what you do, and you do it so well. Got me hanging on crumbs. Got me hanging on to love. Got me hanging on to love. Got me hanging on to love.
Yay, that was great. And my recommendation is you do record it. That was an awesome song.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Well, we are out of time. I want to thank you so much. That was lovely, and it was lovely talking to you. And we will look forward to seeing you at the festival in June, on June 22nd. And we hope everyone comes by, and I'm anxious to see you perform.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.